What nerdigans? This is the one and only Packer Girl 89, and today's book nerdigan discussion is going to be on Torment by Lauren Kate. It is the second book in the Fallen series, so if you have not read Fallen or Torment or have watched the Fallen video that I just did, why are you here? Go read the books, watch the video, and come back here so we can talk about it. And as you can see, Minnie Popo has the Torment cover on display. It is very, very beautiful. We still have Loose on display as well. And for those that don't know how my book nerdigan videos work, especially this one because this is an AngelReadAthon, #AngelReadAthon book, is that I focus mainly on the angel mythology of the book, or I try to, and it's all going to come together when I get to my book nerdigan rant, ultimate book nerdigan rant, which is going to be on Battle Angel by Scott Speer, and I'm going to use bits and pieces from all the angel books that I have covered, and I'm going to try and use all that to improve the book, because I can't stand that book, and it needs to be improved, and that's what I'm going to do with all the angel mythology. So anyway, let's get to it. So something that is consistent through this series is the prologues that we get Daniel chapters, and I love that it takes place in Sausalito because it's in California, and I'm in California, so that makes me happy. So it takes place after Cam and Daniel killed a hitman that worked for the Elders. If you don't remember who the Elders are, go read Fallen. It's at the end, near the end of Fallen. And Daniel mentions the truce, so it brought a brighter glow to the angels, in this case Cam, his cheeks, a shiner sheen to their hair, and even sharper cut to their flawless muscled bodies. And a truce days were to angels what beach vacations were to humans. And what Daniel said is some truce, 18 days of others trying to kill her. And then Cam says, 18 days of you and me picking them off. And I started laughing because I was like, I love Cam. Cam is just funny. Like, Daniel is just so fucking serious. And Cam is just funny. That's why I like Cam more than Daniel. So it's an angelic tradition for a truce to last 18 days. In heaven, 18 was the luckiest, most divine number. So a life-affirming tallies of 2 sevens, the archangels and the cardinal virtues. And it's balanced with the warning for the four horsemen of the apocalypse. In some mortal languages, 18 had come to mean life itself, though in this case for Luce, it could just as easily mean death. So Daniel had glimpsed of the 24 elders of I butcher the name always. Zemelin in the shadows cast by the announcers just that morning. He had glimpsed something else too, another darkness, a deeper cunning one he hadn't recognized at first. And that's going to end up coming up. I'm telling you right now, you're not going to know it until I would say near the end of Passion, I would say. Yeah, probably the end of Passion you would know. And the assassin wasn't acting alone. The announcers warned of the outcasts and their deadly star shots. So what star shots are they're slimmer than a narrow arrow, and they're a dull silver color, and they're laced with swirling etched designs with a deadly blunt end. And what the outcasts are, they're a sect of spineless, waffling angels, and they're shunned by both heaven and hell. Their one great strength was the reclusive angel Azazel. Azazel came back. If you read what was it? Sweet Evil. If you read the Sweet Evil series, you remember Azazel. Let's see. The only remaining starsmith who still knew the art of producing star shots. And when Azazel, why didn't you make star shots for the Nephilim? Why? That isn't fair. They could have killed their fathers that way. I'm sorry I had to mention that shit, but whatever. But when loosed from its silver bow, a star shot could do little more than bruise a mortal. But to angels and demons, it was the deadliest. Everyone wanted them, but none were willing to associate with outcasts, so bartering for star shots was always done clandestinely via messenger, which meant the guy Daniel had killed was no hitman sent by the elders. He was merely a barterer. The outcast, the real enemy, had spirited away probably at the first sight of Daniel and Cam. This was not good news. So Francesca, the angel closest to Gabby, would watch over Luce at the shoreline school in Fort Bragg. So there's angels in Fort Bragg? What the communarcius? Why am I not there? Luce would not be able to see Cam or Daniel for 18 days, and Daniel will fly Luce there. So this is how the prologue ends. The truce will begin at midnight the next day, and Cam and Daniel will be hunting outcasts. So it starts right where we left off in Fallen, but it's mainly Luce POV chapters anyway. So she's flying to Callie, and her parents and BFF, Callie, as far as they know, believe she's still at Sword and Cross. So Daniel picked up Lucy in her old car, which coincidentally is her dream car, and Alfa Romeo. And it was a sweet 16, and this is what Daniel said, it was a sweet 16 present from your folks a couple of lifetimes ago. I just bought it off this guy in Reno. He bought it after you, spontaneously busted. So they're at SFO. And yeah, I love when stories take place in the Bay Area where I know where shit is. It makes me very happy because I know where shit is. And then Daniel says, little known fact about angels, we make excellent pillows. I needs to get me an angel. Where is an angel when I need him? I need some nice pillow angel. I really do. Okay, so it's so frustrating. This is just so frustrating. I understand why Luce is frustrated. No one can tell Luce about her previous lines. I mean, supposedly she could die, but don't you think it's weird that Daniel does anyway? Like right while they're driving to Fort Bragg, he says, "See that trailer park up ahead, Mendocino Mobile Homes? You used to live right there. You lived there before it was a trailer park, before there were mobile homes. Your father in that lifetime brought your family out from Illinois during the gold rush. It used to be a really nice place. You had a 2-room cabin, and your mother was a terrible cook, so the whole place always smelled like cabbage. You had these blue gingham curtains that I used to part so I could climb through your window at night after your parents were asleep. So why the fuck did you keep... I don't understand, Daniel. If you said that you can't tell Luce shit about her past, then why are you telling her about her past? It's a contradiction. I hate when that shit happens. It's like defying the logic. It pisses me off. Let's see. So Daniel on what his name means. So for those that have been following the hashtag AngelReadAthon, you know that we've seen many Gregories, especially in the Embrace series. So let's see. The Gregories are a clan. They're a clan named after me, actually, because they watch and learn from what happened back when I was still welcome in heaven. And back when you were, well, this all happened a very long time ago, Luce. It's hard for me to remember most of it. And then this is what Daniel said on the first time he saw her. It wasn't any different from any other time I've seen you since. The world was newer, but you were just the same. It was love at first sight, just like always. The only difference was, in the beginning, you were off limits to me. I was punished, and I'd fallen for you at the worst possible time. Things were very violent in heaven. Because of who I am, I was expected to stay away from you. You were a distraction. The focus was supposed to be on winning the war. It's the same war that's still going on, and if you haven't noticed, I'm still very distracted. And Daniel fell from one of the highest perches, kind of like Rafi did. Hence why he caused such a huge rift. And I think it's sweet that Daniel wants to fly with her to give her some something to remember him by, and I love that Luce kisses him in return. I think that's really sweet. And this is why it isn't safe for Daniel to stay. And the ones who damn me are still watching, Luce. They have been watching for millennia, and they don't want us to be together. They will do anything they can to stop us. And then Luce's first impression on Shelby, her roommate, is just a California girl with a strong sense of entitlement. Excuse me? Us California girls do not have a strong sense of entitlement. Thank you very much. And Shelby says this, the gifted track here is mostly a cover-up, a stowaway the Nefs without anyone getting too suspicious. People like me. I'm a Nephilim. There's Nephilim in California! I'm telling you, I have to be a Nephilim. I'm waiting. Maybe I don't have wings. I'm waiting for my powers to kick in, but I gotta be a Nephilim. I have to be a Nephilim. Swear to call me Narcissus. That means anything with angel in its DNA. Mortals, immortals, trans-eternals. We try not to discriminate. After high school, it depends on what the world needs. A lot of kids take a year off and do Nephilim Corps. You get to travel, have a fling with the foreigner, etc. But that's in time of, relative peace. It just depends on who you are. Everyone here has varying degrees of power, a sliding scale depending on your family tree. I don't want to do that. That isn't fair. I call shenanigans. I don't want to do that. The way Dawn and Jasmine tell Luce about how famous her and Daniel's love story, the way the Nephilim talk about Daniel and Luce's love story, it really reminds me of Harry Potter, where Luce has no idea, like Harry doesn't have any idea of how famous he is. But the difference is Harry knows the story of why he's famous, but Luce doesn't. And you would think they would tell Luce why she's famous, or the whole story. And Jasmine on the morning block. So we call the whole morning block humanities, though angelics would be more appropriate. Frankie, Francesca, and Stephen Fillmore teach it jointly. And part of the deal here is sort of yin and yang, so none of the students get swayed. And then Dawn says this. They're both fallen, of course, but that have picked different sides. Francesca, basically, she's an angel, and Stephen, yeah, he's more of a demon. It's not like they can get married or anything, though. That would be the hottest wedding ever. They just sort of live in sin. And they did an icebreaker here. So Jasmine says this. I have a relative who's a full-blooded sheriff, crazy old Uncle Carlos. And Dawn says this, and I can levitate. Not like 100% of the time, but usually after I've had my coffee. And Lilith is important. The name Lilith is very important. It is going to come up multiple times in this series. She's one of 3 Nephilim triplets. You could tell us apart by vestigial tails. Mine's Curly. Oliver, who had visited the outer world on summer vacation, so totally overrated, I can't even begin to tell you. Shelby can speak 18 different languages and has been able to see her past lives. And Miles can reflect a mirror image of himself or others. They say it's easy to do with the people you love. And here's what Miles' stories is. I'm what they call diluted. So his mom has angel in her blood a few generations back, but all my other relatives are mortal. My powers are embarrassingly low grade, but I'm here because my parents endowed the school with this deck you're standing on. And yep, from what Miles says, definitely Harry Potter. The reason people stare at you is because everyone's heard about you and Daniel, but no one knows the real story. Yeah, I would say that's definitely Harry Potter-ish. And what Stephen just used an announcer to do is this. So what you're seeing is the actual Sephorum and Gomorrah as they were destroyed by the Great Tyrant. So this is what he says on the announcers. They can hold very valuable information. In a way, they are mere shadows, but shadows of the past, of a long ago and not so long ago events. And what Francesca says this, what you saw today was just a demonstration of an invaluable skill some of you may be able to harness someday. And Roland is now officially enrolled at Shoreline. And something I love about Roland is he knows how to party. I would love to party with Roland. I totally love to party with Roland. Seriously, Luce fell into a fucking trap. She is such a dumbass. If Daniel wanted to see her, seriously, he would fly to see you, not send you a fucking letter to have you leave from Stephen and Francesca's protection. But thank God Cam, followed her because he stabbed the outcast with the star shot and the outcast just vanished. And this is what Cam says on the outcast. So the worst kind of angel. They sided with Satan during the revolt, but wouldn't actually set foot in the underworld. And as soon as the battle ended, they tried to backpedal up to heaven pretty fast. But it was already too late. You only get one shot at those clouds. Most of us do anyway. Usually we'll take just about anyone we can get. But even Satan has his limits. He casts them out permanently, struck them blind to add insult to injury. She just uses other senses, because the outcast they shot was a girl. She just uses other senses to feel her way through the world. She could see after a fashion, but it has its limitations and its benefits. Good and evil aren't as clear-cut as you think. So you should understand the freedom that the victors have to rewrite history. What you think of as evil, well, to my kind, it's a simple problem of connotation. And then Stephen talks about the announcers on the yacht on a different day. So there are trillions of announcers, one for almost every moment in history. The field is endless. Most of us don't know where to begin. It's controversial. There are angels who don't believe the announcers have any value, or that the bad things they often heard outweigh the good. They call advocates like me historical pack rats, too obsessed with the past to pay attention to the sins of the present. You know what? I think that's a load of bullshit for those that are hating on the announcers. Because you know that old saying, you learn from the past to prevent the mistakes of the past to occur in the future, that kind of shit. That's why I think the announcers are important, to be honest, because if you learn from the mistakes of the past and see how they occurred and shit, you can prevent those mistakes in the future. So, yeah, I'm with Stephen on this one. And they describe Stephen's wings as raw and intimidating, jagged and terrifying, color of expensive jewelry. So, something you notice with demons is, especially in this series, is that they're usually in Angel series, demons' wings are usually black, but in this series, demons' wings are like the color of gemstones, which I think is interesting because because hell, keep in mind, is underground, so it makes sense for them to have gemstone colored wings, gem/mineral stone colored wings, while angels are in heaven have like various coloration of silver. That makes sense because you have the clouds. So yeah, that makes sense. So I love Lauren Kate's takes on the wing colors. I'm just curious if you do too. Let's see. Apparently Shelby caught a peek at an announcer some guy was looking into. He just sort of guided it into shape. I didn't even know it was at the time, and I don't know how he tracked it down. And then Stephen goes on to say, the announcers are shadows of past events. They can be helpful, but they also contain some very distracting, sometimes dangerous distortions. When we summon announcers, we are sort of making a wish. Not a wish for anything to material, but a wish to better understand the world, our role in it, and what's to become of us. It's a representation of something, and who knows how distorted it is. It's a shadow of a past event, not reality. There's some truth to the announcer, but it's never the simple truth. Kind of sounds like a myth if you think about it, because myths and legends, there's always, it may be a story, but there's always some sort of truth to it. That's my little take on that. That's what makes announcers so problematic and so dangerous to those without proper training. And I did not understand this at all, because how could you not know that Phil was an outcast? Like, after Cam's explanation of the outcast and seeing an outcast, how could you not know that Phil was an outcast? I didn't understand it, especially when Shelby mentioned his eyes. Like, how could you not know after that shit? I was just like, Luce is a fucking dumbass. Or either that or she just doesn't pay attention to detail. But whatever. I love it. I love when Daniel visits, but yay, I was happy when Daniel visited. Okay, so Miles is officially cool because he plays fantasy football, and for those nerdigans that don't know, I play fantasy football. So yeah. And I was shocked when Shelby admitted that she slept with Daniel. I was like, whoa. Like, wow. I thought that was shocking. I was like, damn, girl. Damn. Okay, now I'm going to get back to what Stephen says here. Stephen says this: the armies of heaven and hell rarely engage in battle, but when they do, they remain untouched by modern warfare. Daggers, bows, and bolts, giant flaming swords, these are our eternal tools. I think that's interesting because in another series that is going to be after this one, The Fallen, you'll see different celestial tools. And also we saw in the Embrace series that we had the Gregory daggers, but Gregory took some of the shavings from the Gregory daggers and modified modern weaponry with it. So yeah. So Miles and Shelby crossed through an announcer via a shadow door to Las Vegas and met Luz's past life's older sister, Vera. And luckily, Ariane came to the rescue and turned off the power, and then she took them out for pancakes. So now we're gonna get to what Ariane says on the Satan and the Fallen. So this is what she says. So somewhat responsible for introducing the idea of free will among angels. I mean, he really gave the rest of us something to think about. On which side do you throw your weight? Given the choice, a whole lot of angels fell. The fallen, enough to cause something of a stalemate. Oh, there are plenty of angels who fell, but still technically ally with God. But then there are those who threw in with Satan. We call them demons, even though they're just fallen angels who made really poor choices. I know we've been I know it feels like we've been hanging in the balance forever, but in the end, it's going to come down to one powerful angel choosing a side. When that happens, the scales finally tip. That's when it matters which side you're on. It's Daniel. The angel who can tip the scales is Daniel. And this is what Ari says on the Outcast. They can see the burning of your soul, which is a lot more difficult to discern when you're with a bunch of other Nephilim. Yeah, they got busted. They got busted. And Miles and Shelby get community service while Luz is basically grounded. And what Francisca says on Steven, I thought was interesting. She said, you look at me and Steven, and I know we can be confusing. Do I love him? Yes. But when the final battle comes, I'll have to kill him. That's just our reality. We both know exactly where we stand. I trust him to be true to his nature, which is a demon's. You need to trust that those around you will be true to their natures, even when it may appear that they are betraying who they are. And then we have a shocker. Miles kissed Luz, and Daniel saw the whole thing. I was like, oh no! Oh no! That's so bad! Oh god! And then everyone is going to Luz's house for Thanksgiving, even Miles and Shelby. And I love what Shelby says on film. My skis and a half ex-boyfriend. Interesting. A restraining order would be interesting. I thought that was so funny. I'm going to say that about the next time I talk about my ex-boyfriend, my first ex-boyfriend, I'm going to totally say that. And I suggest you female nerdigans say that. My scheme and a half ex-boyfriend, interesting. A restraining order would be interesting. And I love how they travel via announcer. And they travel to Sword and Cross, and then they go to Luz's house. And Ari says this, an untrained eye might not know which announcer to step through, and believe us, there are always uninvited lurkers waiting for someone to accidentally open them. And then Roland says if you pick the wrong announcer, it's very easy to get lost, to not have any idea where or when you're stepping through to. And then, as I said, first to Sword Across and then Luz's house for Thanksgiving for 12. 4 humans, including Callie. Yeah, Callie came to visit. And 2 Nephilim, 6 fallen angels, 3 each on the side of good and evil, and 1 dog dressed as a turkey with his bowl of scraps under the table. I thought that was funny, how it was written. I thought that was hilarious. And the outcast arrives. And yes, Shelby, you got played by Phil. He is an outcast, you dumbass. Luckily, the parents went for a walk with the dog while this was all happening. And yeah, the truce is over. And, here we go. So, Miles created a mirror image of Luz that surrendered to the outcast. And then Luz walks into an announcer into the darkness into her past. Because she was like, fuck this, I'm done. I gotta go find out who the fuck I am. This is ridiculous. And the epilogue is the Daniel chapter of literally the aftermath of Luz leaving. Because, like, Daniel thought Luz was dead. Like, he was flipping the fuck out. And Daniel says on the announcers, when you step into time, you take the announcer with you. And it ends with Daniel going into the announcer to go find Luz. Voices behind him, following, getting closer, calling his name as he tunneled deeper and deeper into the past. Would he find her? Without question. Would he save her? Always. Okay, I gotta say this one was way better than Fallen. I love this book a lot more than Fallen because there's more supernatural stuff going on. I love the stuff about the Nephilim in this book. I love that it branched out a little bit more with Nephilim in here, like similar to Unearthly, where you had, remember, for those Nerdigans that read it, you had the Cotarius, you had the Triplate, you had, flat out Nephilim, and with this one, it branched out to Nephilim who were extremely diluted. So I really like that aspect as well. And I like that we had different different variations of Nephilim, like with powers, with physical features, and all that crap. So I like that. And I like that we got a bigger explanation of the world that we're in, like with the outcasts, with the demons, and all that crap. So I want to know what you Nerdigans thought. I want to know if you liked how the explanation of the announcers. I want to know what you thought about the character development. I want to know what you thought about the Nephilim school. And if you want to go to the Nephilim school, I want to go to the Nephilim school. That is such bullshit that I wasn't at that Nephilim school. So anyway, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and to Nerdigans Inc. And if you like what I'm doing, please go donate to my Patreon and become a Nerdigan today. The link is in the description box below. Also, if you want to see any more of the shenanigans that I'm up to on the interwebs, go follow me on Twitter. I cause a lot of shenanigans on Twitter. And until next time, my fellow Nerdigans, I will be seeing you in passion. Bye!